Hi there, so this is episode 4 of She-Ra and the Princesses of Power, Flowers for She-Ra. Now, while I like the previous episode, Raz, for how much it really built upon the lore and laying all of these mysteries and questions later on, I like Flowers for She-Ra a little bit more because of the world building it did, really showing how these different kingdoms are all over this world of Etheria, defining what exactly a princess in the context of the show is, and really showing how the different leaders of the Horde and its major members have their own plans, agendas, and machinations. It's really intriguing stuff, and for that, it really advances the plot of the show. I feel that this 4th episode really gets world building and plot advancement. They were done really well for this episode. Now, I previously compared She-Ra and the Princesses of Power to Gundam because of all of that, but I think a better and apt comparison would be comparing She-Ra to Avatar, The Last Airbender, for this really fleshing out of its world and its characters and its heroes and villains. Now, that's a tall order because Avatar is my favorite animated series of all time, but with the way She-Ra is going so far, I might end up putting She-Ra among my top 5 animated shows, depending on how this 5th and final season will go whenever I'm going to get to that one. Now, in terms of story, I really like this one. It built upon what was implied in the previous episode on the different princesses and kingdoms being isolationist and haughty. But we discover here that that isn't entirely the case. They're isolationist because all the kingdoms formed one unified rebellion before, but it failed, and because of that, the rebellion split apart. Bright Moon was pretty much the last major threat to the Horde. But the way things are going now, with this Princess Alliance being restarted, it really makes me hopeful on this huge final confrontation that will be happening later on. Now, this idea of all the kingdoms and princesses fascinates me because I feel that for shows like this that really focus on one area, one specific group of characters in this large world, it gets the impression that this one area is the center of everything. But no, we really discover here that there are more kingdoms, there are other princesses, and if today is any indication with what we've seen in the kingdom of Plumeria and its Princess Perfuma, I'm really excited because that really shows this huge variety of what will be coming later on. Are those other characters that we see in the intro, are those the other princesses we'll be seeing throughout the rest of the show? Because if so, that makes me even more psyched because of all of this potential, so many possibilities, all these new characters that are different and unique. There are so many different settings we can go to in this world and in this show, and for that I am really pumped to see what kind of place they're going to next. I'm really excited. This also shows how, as I expected, just because Adora is now part of Bright Moon and the Rebellion, that doesn't mean she is automatically loved. That one scene in the beginning with Adora and Angela, it's almost, you really feel sorry for Adora because Angela has only glimmers good word that she'll be looked after. It's just not, it's really rare nowadays for shows to do that, I feel, especially since, like I said before, action adventure fantasy shows with continuous plots are a dying breed. And this continues into when they visit the kingdom of Plumeria, and it's Adora who's not loved. It's She-Ra, the She-Ra they call her, which is very interesting. I mean, with my knowledge of the previous show, on the Adora character in the original She-Ra, both being clear alter egos. But in this case, with the idea of She-Ra being this sort of holy savior, the Plumerians looking on She-Ra as if she was the Messiah, their savior, their prophetic chosen one who can do everything from healing to fighting, and all the stuff that Bo adds. Thank you, Bo. You were easily the worst of the three characters this episode because of that. It just really gave you this sense of uncomfortability for the whole thing and make you even feel more sorry for Adora, who I feel gets the best character spot in this episode. And the final confrontation of Adora, Glimmer, and Bo versus the Horde camp really got me satisfied, because it shows that this show is smart, can play with expectations, and does a good job of turning things around and not going the way you would expect for some parts. How their plan to sneak into the Horde camp and try to sabotage their evil generator, Adora trying to use her knowledge of the Horde, the password and all of that, and it completely blowing up in their faces. That really, 2 thumbs up for that, because it shows how the writers are smart and thus the characters are smarter too. I really commend them for that. And this is a bit of an odd thing, I admit, but I also especially liked one of the ending bits, when Adora was apologizing to Glimmer and Bo for not being the perfect hero that everybody makes her out to be, and Glimmer saying that, no, it's okay, you're not perfect. Being perfect is annoying. I really like that, because this could just be my interpretation, but I feel that might be a bit of a slight jab towards the original show. Again, I've never really seen the original show, but from what little I have seen and heard, it makes it seem like She-Ra in the original show was this perfect heroine. And I wonder, again, if the jab in here, if it really even is a jab, because it shows how a hero with no flaws is boring and predictable, but a hero with flaws is engaging. Again, that could just be my own interpretation, but that's how I see it. So I feel the moral of this episode is how being peaceful is good, being loving is good, but when the time comes, you really must stand for yourself and your own convictions. That is a very good moral, but I feel it is a bit compromised because of the Plumerians and Princess Perfuma themselves. I'm not going to say that they were insufferable or annoying, but with the way they were designed and the way they were voiced and the way they carried themselves as being extremely peaceful with all these flowers and plants, I got the impression that that Perfuma and the Plumerians were designed to look like 60s or New Age hippies, with their attitude of waiting for things to come to them, waiting for the universe to right itself, and thus they will be righted too. It just came across as a little silly in that regard, especially considering that the Plumerians fight in the final battle, and unless the Horde is disgusted by all these cute plants, I'm not entirely sure how plausible that is. But that's just a nitpick of mine. I still like the Plumerians, and Princess Perfuma's design was pretty unique, I gotta say. So overall, like I said, I like Episode 3, Raz, and Episode 4, Flowers of She-Ra, equally. Both are good at what they did, although I would give Episode 4 a little bit more because I felt it advanced the plot. So that's it for me. I'll be seeing you guys next time at Episode 5. So I'll see you guys later. See you around.